You know, there is an order in place around mass gatherings, and we have continuously said that 50 people is a maximum. And we know that these types of events can be risky. So I think there are many people out there, and I know there were some leaders in this movement, for example, who respected the fact that this can put people at risk, and it can put people that we are most trying to protect in terms of these demonstrations at risk. I cannot control people's activities. What I can do is provide you with the necessary advice and tools that you need to have a peaceful demonstration in a way that is not going to imperil your family, your loved ones, your community during this time of this pandemic.
I just say that I think it's important in this time, as in all times, that democratic voices are heard, especially against racism and hate in all its forms. But I think what we have to recognize is that we're in a period, really an extended period, where there's going to be a prohibition on mass gatherings. So we have to collectively use our imaginations, and that means on all sides, recognizing the value of other demonstrations, and in the case of for example, people who would cover such things, if I may dare make such a suggestion, recognize virtual gatherings that have a real impact and give them recognition in society and the importance of the voices brought forward, and other means that can be used. A variety, in other words, a gathering of 10 different groups of 50 people as opposed to one group of 500 people, a maximum of 50 people against one group of 500 people. These are the ways in which we can have an impact in society, and I really recommend we look at that. I think there's extraordinary imagination and power in the message brought forward by people, for example, against racism. But it could be any issue. And we've seen other demonstrations over the last couple of weeks as well, and that is what happens in a democracy. But we have to use the tools at our disposal, and right now that means ensuring that we're not putting at risk the most vulnerable people in society, and that's the reason for the public health order. And so let's use our imagination together, and let's recognize different forms of protest as well.
You know, I mentioned there's a lot of things that sort of started today. We increased transit, we've increased, children have gone back to, some children have gone back to in-classroom schooling. You know, these types of demonstrations, these events that have the potential for transmission to large numbers of people, they're all happening around the same time. So yes, you know, we are watching carefully. We're going to be watching, but that is the risk. The risk that we run is that we take is that if we are not continuing to use the tools that we have to prevent transmission, and we know they work, we've shown they work. So if we're not using those tools appropriately, that we are going to give the virus a chance to spread widely again, and that's what we're trying to manage. We want to prevent those outbreaks. We know that there's going to be probably sporadic cases as we've increased our contacts, and we need in public health to be prepared to detect them quickly, to trace the people that they've been in contact with, and to track people through that process of either the incubation period or their illness, so that we can do that safely and prevent the transmission. You know, the challenge that we have had from the very beginning is that once you have been exposed to this virus, there is nothing I can do to prevent you from getting ill if you've been exposed to enough of it. So, you know, we can't go back and undo what has happened, so we need to be careful. And, you know, we need to look at ways that we can very effectively have our voices heard, but not endangering. And, you know, the irony is that we may be endangering the people who are most trying to help with this type of demonstration. So that's what we'll be looking for in the next little while. I'm hopeful that, you know, we haven't created too much damage, and that we'll be able to continue to move forward. But we need to be cautious. We need to remember and thoughtful of the sacrifices all of us have made over these past months.